struggle with the most. I don't know why I get angry as often as I do. I don't understand the things that provoke it. But nevertheless, I seem to struggle with that one a great deal. I have a few theories on why I deal with it. One is that there is a connection between anger and being a firstborn perfectionist, which I am. And the more you have to have things a certain way, the chances are great that they won't be. So therefore, people who are perfectionistic are going to be angry a lot. If you've got to have it your way all the time, it ain't going to be that way. So therefore, that will be a problem. So I understand that. That is my makeup. That's why I get angry a lot, but I sure don't know how to change it very much. To try to tell myself, some things just don't matter. Well, in my mind, they do, and maybe yours as well. And I also know there can be a connection between anger and depression. When I get angry, I might actually be depressed. And that's just kind of the flip side of that coin. So I also come to realize that. But knowing those things don't necessarily solve the problem. But I will confess this to you. I have made progress with anger over the years. I'm better than I used to be. I don't throw things like I used to. And I'm thankful I never hurt anybody. But, the easiest thing is to be a spewer and to pick up whatever's available and throw that. And I've done those sorts of things. I remember one incident shortly after Jill and I were married, and I got angry about something, and I picked something up and threw it up against the wall just as she walked out of the room, kind of right behind her. And I thought, hey, this is a bad thing. Don't ever that's the last time I think I've thrown anything, because I thought I almost hit my new bride, and I knew that would definitely not be a good thing. So anyway, I'm better than I used to be. But just because I don't throw things doesn't mean I don't sometimes seethe and stew and spew and all that. It is a struggle. And I'm trusting God's Spirit to work more and more in my life. Again, there's progress made, but I got a long ways to go. Well, anyway, along with anger and all the other difficult emotions, there are some rather practical things I think God would use to help us work these through. I want to submit to you 5 of them here this morning that can help. First of all, ask why. Amazing, but just asking that simple little question can help. Why am I feeling the way that I am right now? What might be contributing to this feeling? Sometimes just coming to understand ourselves can diffuse it a great deal. Why is this happening in my life right now? There may be some external things contributing, and by asking why, we may take a look at those things and say, there's some things I can change that can minimize it. So asking why. Secondly, communicate feelings honestly to others. I just did that. I hope I don't regret it, but I did that. It's good to tell people or tell certain individuals those feelings that we deal with and be honest with them. And sometimes we feel those difficult emotions because we don't think other people understand us. So by talking to someone and they're saying, yeah, okay, I deal with that too, suddenly it's like, okay, somebody understands, and I feel a little bit better about that. And so that helps in itself. Thirdly, forgiveness is key to nearly all difficult emotions. Think on that truth for a little bit. I believe you will see how that really is true. That many times something's happened with someone and we have been wronged and we have not put it in its right perspective. We still harbor some ill feelings over something someone has done to us. And unforgiveness really does spring up in a lot of unusual areas. And so many times getting down to who have I not forgiven for something in my life, dealing with that can make a big difference with difficult emotions. Fourthly, this is extremely practical, exercise. Sometimes we're not feeling good emotionally or spiritually because we're not doing well physically. I say that with a tinge of guilt. It's not a good time of year to go out for a walk. First thing in the morning, it's still too hot to be out there exercising. I know there are days coming when exercise will work a little bit better, but sometimes we have difficulty with negative feelings and even a spiritual condition because physically we're just not in the shape we ought to be in. Fifthly, again, talk about it. Find a trusted friend or counselor. Don't keep it to yourself. By keeping it within, it usually gets out of proportion and compounded. So I think those are some practical steps the Lord would have us use in conjunction with His Spirit to deal with the difficult emotions we feel from time to time. There's a favorite helpful passage that someone shared with me recently about dealing with difficult emotions, and I thought, this is good stuff, I should share it with you. So in parting, I want to leave you with this verse out of Psalm 62, verse 8, and I want you to consider the message and realize how helpful and true this is. The psalmist says, trust in Him at all times, O people. Pour out your heart before Him. God is a refuge for us. You know, you may not find that trusted confidant that you can share the difficult emotions with, and sometimes it may be just kind of too heavy to talk to somebody else about. Don't forget the fact that God is there and that you literally can pour out your heart before Him. God is that confidant that understands. He knows it anyway. You might as well talk to Him about it. Pour out your heart before Him because He is a refuge. He will help with the solution or help us in dealing with those difficult feelings. So I thought that was a good passage to leave you with this morning. Remember, your ultimate help is literally only a prayer away.